We want a secure facility. You just said that yourself, didn't you, Councilman Downs?
Looking for curfew violators?
Well,
Are
I
you
mean-
serious?
Well, I mean, like you're scoffing and you're saying that we need to like lock the facility. So I'm trying to figure out a way to do that. Do you have any suggestions?
And that works fine, but what you're saying doesn't make any sense.
Oh.
There's nobody looking for curfew violators.
Well, I mean, I think it is an ordinance that we're
It could be
supposed to
around.
do by.
You could make your rounds and do that, yeah.
Okay, well, there you go. Thank you for offering that tidbit. So you're. We'll, move on to department head reports. Item number 1, Attorney Dublin Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. I recently received an email from Ms. Haggerty regarding actually a chain of title issue that the VOA is experiencing. Obviously, you know, a chain of title to some people obviously doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but in terms of an organization like theirs, it obviously affects their funding because you have to actually own said building. And if there's any sort of legal issue in terms of that chain of title, of course what happens is that people won't fund you. So, and I apologize, I believe his name is Mr. Dubberly, Alan Dubberly. And Alan, if you're listening, I apologize if I butchered your last name. He reached out, and basically the chain of title on that shows that the building itself was owned, I don't recall the actual grantor, but they granted it to another party, and then out of the blue, the city of Newcastle then deeded said property without ever having it granted to the VOA. What that basically entails is that somewhere along the way, whether it was a fire or a flood or a failure to record, the actual title ownership to that building is somewhat contested. The reason I wanted to bring this to the council's attention is that Mr. Dubberly is going to be looking into kind of finding whether or not the deed can be found, first of all, and then 2, if need be, either getting a corrective deed from the city of Newcastle or having what's called a quiet title action filed. Now, obviously that sounds like litigation to the city of Newcastle. However, seeing that it was a deed that the city gave to the VOA in the first place, it obviously wouldn't be anything that the city would contest. So I just wanted to bring it to the council's
So
attention.
Dylan, is this the old VOA building?
I believe so.
It's not the new one that they just
Yeah,
built by
yeah.
the high school.
And I think
This
they're
is the
trying to
old-
sell it is what the
Okay,
issue is.
okay.
And just as an example, folks, if I own the house, right? And there's never a deed showing that house property was sold to me, then what happens is that people can question that title legally in court. And so to get that title cleared up, you have to have either the correct deed filed or you have to bring an action to actually enforce your ownership of that piece of property. For the city's purposes, it's not particularly an issue because we just wouldn't, oppose it in any way because at one point the city deeded that property to the VOA in the first place. Now, how the city got a hold of it, that's the question, the big question. That's where the deed missing is kind of an issue here. And just to be clear, in other cases that I've had, council, I think this has come up at least 3 or 4 different times with other clients of mine. Not with the city specifically, but with just missing deeds, so. I just wanted to bring that to the council's attention.
Where is the old building that you're trying to say?
By the clinic, up by the old clinic. I mean,
Oh,
like,
okay, I know,
you know,
yeah.
back there, yeah.
It's for sale. Oh.
I don't know. Just was wondering what it was. I didn't know.
It's a nice building, actually.
You can turn it into a apartment. Oh, yeah.
And that's all I have, council.
Does any council have any further questions for Attorney Dublin Hughes? Thanks, Dublin. Moving on to clerk treasurer Stacy Haggerty.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Jen Womack did provide a estimated quote on the services she mentioned at the last meeting, so that is in front of you. If anybody has any questions that I can follow up with her.
What are we paying right now?
$150.
This covers all the ADA changes that we'll do.
So is there a way to verify, I guess, once they're doing the checks, that EDA is being reviewed? Or is this a third party that she's gonna be using to review the website?
I think she would make sure the ADA compliance was met as far as what she's putting on our website. But she does mention not being able to control the third-party content. And I would assume she's meaning like, our links to our bill pay and things of that nature.
I went through that one.
We're the third party.
No, I'm sure the third party would mean when it says the contractor will perform comprehensive review. So if she's using a third party with her then to do that one, then she's basically billing us for the third party review of our website.
So she's asking for a $50 increase, or is this in addition to the $150?
Correct, this would be an additional $50 per month.
And then we would also be able to meet, she's having the contractor perform the ADA required upgrades.
And this is a new process, so I think it's gonna be a learning curve for them and us to make sure, I guess, that the items are being covered enough.
I don't think $50 she covers.
Yeah, I know, that $50 is pretty cheap, probably pretty cheap, but. And I don't have a motion, the issue with making a motion that we would accept the estimate from Sagebrush Marketing to cover our ADA compliance with $200.
I'll second that.
We have a motion properly seconded to accept the proposal from Sagebrush Marketing. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Go ahead.
Yeah, Walter Sprague, Newsletter Journal. I just have a question, and not everything comes to my attention, so I may have missed this. Was an advertisement taken out for this proposal?
No, this is, we just contacted her about making our website ADA compliant, Walter.
Okay,
She already does our website.
okay.
Yeah, but for the original website that was put up in on,
Yes,
We had-
because,
We did get different quotes.
yeah, we had a quote from the newsletter.
Right.
Okay,
So a $50 increase on the contract
her-
that we already
Right.
paid.
Right.
Does that require any sort of a,
To accept the estimate, it would require a motion.
oh no, to advertisement or, because we're
She's
keeping
just
her.
increasing
employed.
her charge.
Yeah, she's basically increasing it. The bid for $50 on something like that, I don't think it would fall to it would meet that threshold.
Same thing, like a little bit more.
Especially with it being an update more or less on the
Yeah,
contract
that's
she
all.
already had.
it's a government requirement.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. A federally mandated requirement.
So-
He knows.
So I don't think we'd have to advertise it.
No.
I wouldn't think so.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carried.
My only other item is just a reminder that the next council meeting will be on Tuesday, the 17th, and our audit presentation is at 6 p.m. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Is there any further questions for Clerk Treasurer Stacy Haggerty? Thanks, Stacy. We'll move on to item number 3, Public Works Supervisor Greg Stahl.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, my first item is on the park slide at Centennial Park that was damaged due to vandalism. We received a quote for a new slide, and it's $17,462.91. The only other option we have is remove the slide, block off the opening, and not replace it. This is the tallest slide ever. It's 12 feet tall. It's the big curve. So, what would the council like me to do with this one?
So it was vandalism, not just use?
Yeah, no, it actually cracked on 2 sides of one of the supports. Looks like somebody was beating on it with something.
But do we, any chance of this, you have this in your budget, just waiting to be spent?
It's gonna be tight in parks because of the other one we gotta discuss yet tonight.
Yeah, we had a whole bunch of other.
Can that be covered under insurance?
It is not. We found out the playground equipment was never added to our inventory, and therefore it's not covered by this.
If we replace it, it gets damaged again.
A lot of times these slides will take quite a bit of damage, or quite a bit of abuse. The problem is, it was installed in 1998. So getting that UV light all this time, it's actually overdue for replacement. Whole playground equipment is. Problem is, the playground equipment itself is between $100,000 to $150,000, not including meeting ADA requirements or anything else.
There's quite a few kids that use that park when you're walking that park. There's always kids in there playing around.
We've had 2 other slides damaged over there. One of them we got rid of. Originally, it was 4 slides, now it has 3. We did replace the other one. It was one of the smaller slides. It was around $5,000 for it. Yeah, this is the tallest slide, and that probably is our most used park.
Do we have any other options other than doing something, a slide like this?
Not really. Not for replacement. We went back to the original manufacturer, and we have to stay with the original manufacturer because of liability issues. If we tried doing something different with somebody else's, I don't know if we could make it safe enough or compliant enough to be able to use.
Well, Your Honor, I move that we replace the slide.
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion?
Holes, as I said, is 2, and then probably played a part in the damage, from UV lighting into that one. I know how much, we walk that all the time, that whole area. That gets used a lot with your kids in there.
My kids love playing at that park, so. But I know there's a lot of kids.
But you think it was damaged deliberately?
Yes. The other one was too. We've had this happen before. 2 other slides were damaged. Looks like they took something and actually started beating on it. You'd see marks where it had hit. And it's right at the support. So the support's holding it, the rest of the slide is pushing down as they're beating on it. It cracked out around the support. You can see marks where it was, looks like somebody was beating it.
And you can't do anything to kind of protect that.
Not
Put it in
really.
a cage with a lock and a camera. So you get them all.
See us replace it, they get damaged. Somebody's tearing them up.
You know? There's been a lot of vandalism
No
this
kidding.
last year.
Well, I mean, you might get the idea that we might like some cameras sitting around places.
Actually, Councilman, I've asked for three different companies to provide quotes. So
You have. Well, that's a good thing.
We're moving forward with something. We're not sure what yet.
Maybe next budget we can
It's
look
on
at
the
that.
agenda.
That's on the agenda. Yeah, that's on the agenda.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries.
Thank you, Council. My next item, we had talked a couple of meetings ago, we received a quote from LinkTech to provide a system in the council chambers to hold virtual meetings. We did test out a camera system. We think it'll work okay during council meetings. You wanted me to talk to 21 Electric, and they said, yes, they install these, but it's always under a different company. And anything they would do would be more expensive than what LinkTech would. They recommended we go with the LinkTech quote if this is where we're going to move forward. What would be the council's pleasure on that one?
So, Mr. Mayor, I would move that we award Link Tech, the opportunity to install this camera setup.
This is a one-time deal, right?
We have a motion properly seconded to approve the bid from Link Tech for the council chambers conference setup. Is there any discussion? Oh, I think it was Don, did you second?
Yeah.
Don seconded.
Would you just kind of discuss this and what's actually gonna happen? I mean, why do we need this?
Because we host a lot of meetings in council chambers, it's kind of the way of the future. It's a way that we can, provide training for our council and also host meetings with our legislators or,
Like RCAC, that meeting we had.
yeah, and I mean, just like the other day, we had, our grant writer on the call when, Senator Steinmetz.
That was the camera we were using.
That's, no.
No, this, Greg already has that equipment but he's already purchased. This is something separate.
Oh, okay.
So,
Did you guys, I apologize. Did you guys think what we had the other day was appropriate, or?
For that meeting, it was appropriate. If we're gonna do it as a body, to be able to have the cameras in front of the council members. I know there's been several times when we've had our grant writer up there and Ann would say something and she can't hear.
she can't hear, yeah. Or there's been times, through the years, I used to attend the council meetings a lot, remotely. And it caused friction when you can't hear what people are saying in the council chambers. And so I think that it'd be a positive step forward personally. Did that answer your question, Councilman?
No, it wasn't a question. I just kind of wanted to get a feeling of what we're doing.
Councilman Downs, did you have something to add?
We were just talking about earlier about spending money we don't have.
Yeah,
That's what I had.
yeah, well, okay, thank you for adding that comment. Did you have something, Mr. Butts?
No.
No, okay. All right,
That's hilarious.
is there anybody else that has anything to add to the discussion?
Yeah, we just received a report from the airport board that their number of monies and things that they're getting for the new rentals, and I think it will cover this bill if we get half.
I'm glad that they're starting to leverage some funding at the airport. Does anybody have any further discussion?
Was this the same company that you brought up last meeting? I was trying to look in the, even in the minutes last week, but I had that with me. This is a different company.
Mayor, Councilman, this is the quote we had prior.
Okay,
I wasn't at the last meeting, it was a meeting prior to that one.
okay.
He had two different quotes, correct?
We received two different quotes. One was significantly more. They were talking tens of thousands of dollars, not 3,800.
And I actually talked to an employee of 21 Electric about this, and they actually used the same equipment as the other company that we got a quote from. So he said if they're willing to do it for this price, they're, yeah. Because even 21 Electric would be right around what that other quote would have been, if not higher.
So just to address some concerns of the council, we're possibly spending, if the council approves it, $3,822.41 to have some security in the council chambers, cameras, in case we have a bad actor, or it's also a way to host meetings with people that could provide a benefit for our council. So spending $3,800 to me is a warranted expenditure. I understand that I do complain about us not having a lot of money, but sometimes there's a cost to doing business. So having something like a camera system and an updated way to reach the public is a positive thing in my estimation. So if there's no further discussion, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. Moving on to the next item.
The next one is another bit of vandalism. Centennial Park last summer and the sports complex bathrooms were both vandalized. The toilets are starting to leak out onto the floors, so we have to replace all the toilets. We have two sinks that are cracked but still functional. We looked at options for replacements, and we can go back to porcelain, but again, we're seeing more and more damage all the time. We looked at replacing the fixtures with stainless steel, less likely to get vandalized. The quote is the Ferguson quote. It's $23,466.07 to replace all the toilets, urinals, and sinks in both Centennial Park and the sports complex.
Public Works Supervisor, what does it cost to rent outhouses from Farnsworth?
They're $250 a month fees. But we've had two of those out, two of the porta pots out, damaged in recent months, due to vandalism.
You pay for a guard.
Again, we are looking into security systems. And this isn't the first bit of vandalism we've had. Like I said, they're breaking chunks off of the Centennial Park building, they've damaged the soffit. We're seeing more and more all the time. It's really getting out of control.
It's terrible.
Downtown,
Yeah, the windows being smashed out right downtown Newcastle.
Anyway, back to the point. We need to figure out how to get these fixed or replaced before we open up this May. And there's about a 4 to 6 week lead time on these. We need to order them fairly soon so we can get them installed prior to opening the bathrooms back up.
So this is for the sports complex and where else?
Centennial Park,
Was any of this covered by insurance?
we did not follow up on that one yet. we just received the quote, recently.
I've been getting emails, to attend a worm meeting, in the not too distant future. But, I mean, we pay almost $40,000 to be a member of WARM, so it would be nice. Go ahead.
So, yeah, I do have something to add. So I did actually contact Carrie at Warm, and we can turn some of these instances in. We do have a $5,000 per instance, deductible. So I'm not sure if this all happened, at each location at the same time, or if
Yes.
there were different things.
In addition to the weekly printed version of the newsletter journal, we also promote our community and share important information on our award-winning website, newslj.com, and in our weekly email newsletter, Nuke Now. We also connect with readers through various social media platforms and invite you to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can even take a look at a recent meeting of the City Council, School Board, or County Commission on our YouTube channel. We do hope that you will go to newslj.com and subscribe today, and we look forward to making all of our great content available to you. But regardless of your level of support, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for doing your part to preserve a free and independent local press.
But we can go ahead and also still follow up and see what paperwork needs to be done.
Okay, so maybe we need
But
to,
we have to try to replace the card.
so, well, I mean, if we paid our $5,000 deductible, then that would cut the cost in half for 2 instances. So maybe we need to sit on this until the next council meeting and see if there's any follow-up with Warren.
Could we do, I mean, because the sports complex is gonna be used quite a bit this summer. Can we do it and not the other one, or would it be better to do it both?
The problem is the toilets are leaking water out on the floor. Now we've got a slip hazard on top of everything else. And no, we cannot keep them from leaking, so.
There's no way to shut the water off for those?
Yep. And you know, they got up for any use. We won't have bathrooms. There will not be flushable bathrooms at Centennial and Sports Complex other than the newer restroom at the Sports Complex.
Because these are shut down in the winter time, they're not open to the public, right?
Correct.
Right now, here in the winter.
And they got in both of them in the wintertime.
No, these were actually the one at the ball field. We know exactly when it happened. It was over 4th of July weekend. We're figuring somebody probably dropped fireworks down in them and cracked the toilets and cracked the sink.
So the facility isn't locked up when it's not being used?
No,
The bathrooms are accessible?
they're public access.
Then why aren't they locked? Well, there's nothing going on there.
Maybe we should lock.
There was stuff going on. We were still playing baseball through, I think, the 6th of the 8th.
So they busted them up while the ball games were going?
No, this happened probably overnight on the 4th of July.
That's what he's saying, should it be locked when it's not being used? The fields.
So you want us to send somebody out
No,
at 10
I
o'clock
just,
at night?
I mean.
No, I think
Parks
the
are
ball-
open
I
at
think the
night.
ball clubs
Parks
could
are
take it.
open, parks are open till 10 o'clock at night. If I am correct, chief, you remember that one?
Yeah, it's actually, I think it's later than that, if I remember correctly, I think it's midnight. 11 o'clock or midnight. I can look real quick at that.
So then, if we work together between departments,
Right.
maybe if an officer's out on patrol, maybe they could lock the bathrooms at 10 o'clock at night when they're looking for curfew violators. I mean, we want a secure facility. You just said that yourself, didn't you, Councilman Downs?
Looking for curfew violators?
Well,
Are
I
you
mean-
serious?
Well, I mean, like you're scoffing and you're saying that we need to like lock the facility. So I'm trying to figure out a way to do that. Do you have any
And
suggestions?
that works fine, but what you're saying doesn't make any sense.
Oh,
There's nobody looking for curfew violators.
well, I mean, I think it is an ordinance that we're
It could be
supposed to
around.
do by,
You can make your rounds and do that, yeah.
okay, well, there you go, thank you for offering that tidbit. So when you're making your rounds, chief, could you add that to the list of things that you guys do if you're not busy?
Lock the restrooms, is that what you're
Lock
saying?
the restrooms during the months that they're open.
Yeah.
We might have to have a
10 o'clock at
policy.
night.
Yeah.
Probably need to,
He said it was midnight.
No.
When do we have to lock them?
Did you not say stuff was going on at
10 o'clock
midnight?
at night.
No.
10
We don't know what
They're
time it
supposed
was.
to be closed.
Supposed,
The chief said that the events could be going clear to
No, he
midnight, right?
said that the
no, I didn't
parks
say
are
that,
all
parks are
open.
open and downs.
No, he said the parks.
Well, somebody said midnight about something.
anyway, I think it's 10 o'clock, isn't it?
Well, we can make it 10 o'clock.
So 10
Lock
o'clock
the-
it's
lock the
identified.
toilets at 10 o'clock.
It's identified.
I got another question. Would it be worth our while to put a reward in the paper for any information leading to the conviction of the people that did this crap to our city? I'm ticked off. And I don't know.
I mean, rather than calling somebody out and paying them double time, if we could just work it into the workflows,
Yeah.
when officers have availability to lock the facilities when they're in use during the summer at 10 PM. So if that's when they're getting vandalized, it's after 10 PM.
The parks close at 11.
Parks close at 11? Okay. Thank you, chief.
Whoa, we could change that rule, can't we?
Yes.
Can we just say the car parks close at 10? And then we're gonna get a bunch of hatchets in our head if we do it?
The problem with that is some of the Legion games they have might run into that 10 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
We could add that to the policy, you know, if
there's
there's
a
an
game.
event going on, then it doesn't happen, you know? Okay,
Mr. Mayor, I think it's irrelevant what time we close the park.
Yeah.
You know, like Public Works Supervisor Griggs said, we don't know what time it's happening. It could have happened at 7 o'clock at night.
okay, well, that's a fair point, Councilman Kenny, but there was also somebody living in one of our bathrooms at one point. So maybe, you know, stopping in and checking them at some point and locking the doors when you're doing your patrol seems like not a waste of time, because our parks are spread out across the community. So, you know, the patrol officer driving around, maybe he'll catch some other illicit activities going on in his rounds. So I think it's worthwhile. Let's call a Parks Committee meeting and have the Parks Committee get together and discuss a policy or whether or not you want to proceed. So please do that before the next council meeting.
I will email everybody tomorrow for the Parks Committee.
And then come back with your recommendation. If you guys don't want to do it, that's fine. If you want to do it, then we'll see if the council wants to move on it. So if there's nothing further about the Centennial Park and Sports Complex fixture replacement, do you have anything else, Public Works Supervisor Stump?
Yes, I do. We received the quote for the backyard park fence, the updated quote. It's about $150 above the original one. We do have the grant funding for this. It's $27,562.50.
So I was actually gonna ask you about this, Public Works Supervisor, I had it checked out to follow up. I wanted to try to move on this at the last council meeting. But actually I wanted to move on this prior to the end of the year, but we still have the grant funding that was so generously provided to us by the Wyoming Refining Company in Par Pacific. So, would the council entertain a motion of accepting the, bid, from John Carr
Our fencing.
Fencing to get the fence built so that we can continue to move forward on trying to get our backyard park, completed.
So moved.
We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. Thank you for doing that, Greg.
The next item, the pneumatic tire rollers. We found out that Casper, a company we work with all the time, TransSource, actually has 3 of them in their inventory. They're roughly the same price. I'm getting quotes for them, but I think we are going to shift gears and instead of going to Denver, try and keep the money in Wyoming. So we're in the process of looking these up. I'm gonna, when I come back from Cheyenne on Friday, I'm gonna swing by Casper and see what we can figure out. So. The last item, the chlorination system. We have a pre-bid meeting scheduled for here tomorrow at 1:30 if any of the council's interested. We will be opening the bids February 17th. And we will hopefully have bid tabulation and recommendation at the March 2nd council meeting.
What's this for?
The chlorination system.
Okay. So,
Tomorrow at
1:30. We do a pre-bid meeting for all our projects, so the contractors can come in, they can look over the facility, see where the project's gonna be, and then also ask questions and offer up solutions for other problems that we may have.
So we did leverage the funding for the chlorination system, but we just haven't, gotten a bid yet.
We got held up in DEQ for some time. And then some electrical issues they were trying to sort out held us up for a little while. But we do have a pre-bid plan and we do have an end date for the bids. I looked today, there are 15 companies, either primary companies or subcontractors that are holding plans right now for this project. And that's all I have.
Is there any further questions for Public Works Supervisor Stone? So, you've also got the banner for the backyard park,
Yes.
and then they just put their, Connex or their, shipping container in. So is the idea to hang the banner on the side?
Correct. Jeremy Diedick with the bench sprockets notified me Sunday night that they had it set. So we're gonna work with them to try and get it put up in the next, sometime this week or early next week.
Supervisor
Access
Stone,
things like-
could you give me a call when that's gonna happen?
Yep.
Thank you.
It might be a different phone number because me and Cheyenne is part of this week, so.
All right.
Any further questions for
I
Public
have
Works
one.
Supervisor?
Is anything going on at the skate rink? Are they open?
Yesterday,
They were using it the
I
other
saw
day.
it using it.
Yeah.
I saw
yesterday, the
skating.
Methodist Church was out there and they were skating. They had a great time.
So it's.
On days when it is nice and solid, they actually will do stuff.
Okay. I just didn't know if people could go out there and.
It looked good. It looked good. Whether they can go out there at any time, I don't know.
Okay.
I saw some kids playing hockey on it the other day.
I saw somebody playing hockey.
It was cold enough this last week, especially at night. It really freezes it solid, but
I just didn't know if it was somebody out there working on it that was out there kind of skating around or, but kids can go.
Any further questions? Thank you. Greg. Moving on to item number 4, engineer Stephen Dietrich.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, for the engineering report for this meeting, the building department issued a total of, for residential construction projects, 6 active projects for code compliance. You see there 4 mechanical/plumbing permits, 1 deck permit, and then 1 mobile home was set on a lot. And then moving on to commercial construction projects, the one we're building, which is the Dollar General that I'm trying to keep everyone informed of. Our department was able to issue the CTO back towards the end of January. But today, the state fire marshal came out and did their inspections that they had jurisdiction over, and they have a couple of items that need to be addressed, but it should be taken care of within the next couple of weeks, and then they'll be able to issue their CTO as well. Moving on to construction costs and permitting fees for the January 20th through February 1st time period. Total construction cost of $10,000, and the permit fees collected was $428. The rest of the items on the engineering report we've already covered earlier in the meeting, so I'll stop there. Any questions?
Does anybody have any questions for engineer Dietrich? Thank you for your report. Thanks. Moving on to item number 5, police chief Derek.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first item are the calls for service between January 16th and January 30th. Newcastle Police Department, 172. We made 7 custodial arrests and issued 20 criminal citations. Weston County Sheriff's Office, 81. Upton Police Department, 104. Newcastle Volunteer Fire Department, 2. Weston County Fire Protection District, 18. Upton Volunteer Fire Department, 1. Newcastle Ambulance, 18. And Upton Ambulance, 13. My second item is in reference to mobile speed radar / variable message sign trailers, or a trailer, I should say. We had a police committee meeting on December 29th, and discussion was had in reference to purchasing one of these signs to help with the speeding issues that tend to arise, especially in the summertime with the tourist traffic and that type of stuff, as well as the possibility of coupling it with a dual purpose sign, one of the variable message signs that will display whatever message you program it with. It is towable, could be used by various departments within the city. The radar only sign is somewhere in the neighborhood of $7,000. The radar and VMS variable message sign is approximately $24,000. In discussions with the police committee, they felt it would probably be most beneficial to purchase the combination sign so it could be used in multiple applications within the city. We had a discussion about purchasing one of them, seeing how effective it is, how much use it gets. The radar portion of it has the data logger capabilities. So as vehicles pass by, it will read speeds and record those speeds and give you data feedback off that. You can go pull the data off that trailer so you can see if you have problem areas and what times those problems are at their peak and things like that. Or if you're getting reports of things in a certain area, but you put an officer there and you're not seeing them, you can you can then locate the trailer there and verify if those are actually legitimate complaints or somebody's eyeball radar is not calibrated quite right. So I wanted to ask the council their opinion on purchasing the dual purpose speed radar and variable message sign trailer for the city.
So, police committee, is that your recommendation?
Yeah, we discussed this quite a bit, back and forth, especially the difference between the cost, we're looking at the money wise. But when we was discussing it with the chief and that, we used at different events that we're having on Main Street, having messages or something down through their areas that, things that probably have to be blocked off, you can pull there to put messages on for, having to do detours, up through detours, or whatever it might be, but multi-uses, I guess, between all the departments. So what we were kind of looking at, getting feedback from the other locations and the chief list. So we were kind of figuring, as you said, there was one, to give it a trial to see what that would work for us. The data logger to, get your times, areas, when officers aren't in that area. Because most of the time when during the weekend, I can tell you that they were sitting on the bypass, and I could see sitting at the Stampede, and people coming on top of the bypass, they were clipping on pretty good by the time they got down to the bottom of the bypass, and they seen that car sitting down there by the fire hall, turn off.
Yeah.
In that little bit of distance, they slowed down. But when that officer is not there, does that give, warning of, how fast they're coming off that bypass areas? But from our committee and that, we felt that.
You have money too, correct?
Yeah, my budget is pretty healthy at the moment.
Yeah, so that was taken care of.
And we discussed that one too, do you have money in there? Because we're always kind of looking at, the cost of making sure we covered. And I agreed, with what we had in there, that, we would make that as a recommendation to purchase the one radar system with the, BMS message system.
You want to make that a motion?
Try and make that as a motion.
Do you entertain a motion?
Yes.
I'll second.
So we have a motion properly seconded to entertain the purchase of the radar and BMS system, which is $24,000. Is there any discussion?
Chief, so right now we're looking at purchasing just one, correct?
Correct.
How many do you think would be needed to be beneficial?
I think that's what that one is gonna kind of help tell us.
Yeah.
I was thinking probably at least 2 in the long run, but spread that out over time, because you got traffic flow both directions. So, and the primary speeding complaints are the bypass area, and especially during the peak tourist season when folks from other states where the speed limit is, I'm not sure what, or the cops are so busy with other things they can't enforce it, but they get away with speeding all the time. So they go way too fast through there. I think 2 anyways, we may find they're more beneficial than we think, and we'll need more yet, but obviously as money permits. I thought we would try one first and see how it works. And then if we have one of the variable message signs, because it has multi-purposes, right? It's not just the speed radar. Maybe the next ones we would go with the cheaper option instead and just do the speed only type of sign.
Is there any further discussion?
I think that, as long as you report to us how fast people are going on that thing, because somebody's gonna want to drive by and see how fast they can go.
They will. Absolutely, they will. I want to hear the record every week. Yeah.
Council, if I may, we do have one of these already out at the Highway 16 by the
school.
grade school. And that one there does dialogue as well. Another advantage to this, when we want to put RFS signs out, permanent ones, like we talked about on bypass, we have to do speed studies. I talked with Michelle Edwards from White Up after the meeting with them, and this can be used to complete our speed studies.
Oh, that's helpful. So provide data for our speed study.
Correct.
Is there any further discussion? So something I want to throw out to the council before we move on and vote on this motion is, I'm starting to learn more and more about the city's finances. and we're not broke. Like, there's revenue coming in through interest, and there's ways to leverage funding to do small projects, and if we have things that we need for the city, we shouldn't feel guilty about purchasing said item. So, especially if it's needed. So, I just wanna throw that out there to the council. And now, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. Did you have anything else, chief?
That was it.
That was it?
That's all I have.
Any further questions for Chief Thompson?
I have one question I directed to either Chief Thompson or Public Works Supervisor Stone. J-brake signs. Have we got those installed?
No, Mayor, Councilman, we were planning on doing it last week, we ended up having 2 leaks that took up most of our week. The locates cleared like 5 o'clock today, so we're planning on putting those in this week.
Thank you. Good question. Anything further for Chief Thompson? Hearing nothing, thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
We'll move on to, paying the claims against the city dated February 2nd, 2026.
Mr. Mayor, wish to recuse myself.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I will, with this August money, pay it.
We have a motion properly seconded, pay the claims against the city. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. Do we entertain a motion to adjourn?
Also moved.
We got 5.
Do we have a second? There's a second. Okay, we're adjourned at 8:41 PM.
You want me to-